Hello. If you're watching this, it's probably because you know I finished my March Madness book bracket, which is on another post if you want to submit one and fill that out and be part of the contest. But this video is to tell you how I chose those books because I chose them specifically for each team they were replacing. So I made this a handy dandy slideshow here to tell you. So we're going to start up here with the 1 seed Yukon. They're the Huskies, and their mascot's name is Jonathan the Husky. So I chose the book The Zero Night by Brian Freeman, which is part of the Jonathan Stride series. Next, our 16 seed are the Stetson Hatters, which a Stetson is like a cowboy hat. And so I chose Out for Blood. If you can see on the cover, the guy's wearing a Stetson. It takes place in Montana. So those two books are matched up. Then we have our 8 seed, which is the Florida Atlantic Owls. And so the book I chose is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And this is twofold because first, the main character lives in Florida of this book. And second, there's these characters in the book. The females can turn into birds, aka Miss Peregrine turns into a peregrine. I'm not entirely sure if there's an owl, but an owl is a bird, so I counted it. Then we've got the 9 seed Northwestern Wildcats, and then the book Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. Chose this one because Mark Sullivan graduated from Northwestern. There's actually quite a few I chose where the author was an alum from that college. San Diego State Aztecs for the 5 seed. I chose The Rose Code by Kate Quinn because Kate Quinn lives in San Diego. Some of these were hard, so some are more clever than others. The 12 seed, the UAB Blazers. We've got Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Booley. I don't know how to pronounce that. Because blaze and fire, get it? The 4 seed, Auburn Tigers, chose A Burning Obsession by Mike Omer. The 13 seed, the Yale Bulldogs. There's like so many Bulldog mascots, so that's also partly it. Lots of Bulldogs, lots of Wildcats. I don't read a lot of cat books, I'll be honest. So I chose A Gentleman in Moscow because the author of this book graduated from Yale. 6 seed, the BYU Cougars. I chose Ender's Game also because Orson Scott Card was an alum. Seed 11, the Duquesne Dukes. That team is based in Pennsylvania, so I chose The Office BFFs. They don't live in Pennsylvania, but The Office is set in Pennsylvania. Number 3, the Illinois Fighting Illini. So I chose Everybody Fights. Get it? 14, the Morehead State Eagles. Their mascot is an eagle named Beaker. So obviously I had to choose Lessons in Chemistry because science. I do kind of wish this one was a higher seed because I like this book and I want it to go further. We'll see. Seed 7, Washington State Cougars. I chose In Her Tracks by Robert Dugoni because this series, the Tracy Crosswhite series, takes place in Washington. And also Cougars make tracks, so it's twofold. 10, the Drake Bulldogs. So I obviously had to see if Drake, the musical artist, has a list of books that he likes, and turns out he does have a book list. And so Brave New World was on his book list. So thanks, Drake. 2 seed, Iowa State Cyclones. I chose The 4 Winds for the Cyclones by Kristen Hanna. South Dakota Jackrabbits are a 15 seed. I chose a book that had a character named Jack, so I had to go with Jack Reacher. And I chose No Plan B because that is one of the more recent ones. I've actually never read any of the Jack Reacher books. I guess I should say that. I haven't read necessarily all of these books. I tried to pick books that I've read before, but in some cases, I just couldn't find one that matched well enough. So a few of them, I'm not entirely sure how good of books they are, but they went along with what we were doing here. So there you have it. We've filled out our East bracket from the 1 seed all the way down, and this is what it's going to look like up here. So now we'll move down to, no, where are we going? South, Houston Cougars. We are going over here. So our 1 seed over here are the Houston Cougars. I chose The Ferryman by Justin Cronin because he was an alum from Houston. The 16 seed, we have the Longwood Lancers, and I chose the book Who the F Are You by Huda Fahmy, and that's because who even knows who Longwood is? We don't know. They're very small, and they came out of nowhere, so there's that. 8 seed, Nebraska Huskers. I chose The Line Between. Tosca Lee is from Nebraska. Her husband actually farms. And this book, it's kind of a dystopian book, but it takes place around Ames, Iowa, but then they travel west, and I think they go into Nebraska. So that's also a twofold. 9 seed, Texas A&M. Their coach's name is Buzz Williams. They're the Aggies for agricultural purposes. So I chose Ends of the Earth by Tim Downs. This is a story about agroterrorism, using a certain bug to destroy crops. Plus his name is Buzz, and the main character in this book is a forensic entomologist, so he studies flies and maggots and stuff like that on dead things to determine information. So I thought that was a good pick. 5, the Wisconsin Badgers. I chose The Pawn. I put Ted Dekker. This is by Stephen James. I will correct that. I chose this because of Badge. The main character in here is a special agent. He carries a badge. And this is a really good series by an author I really like. Unfortunately, none of the colleges were known for their chess programs, because otherwise I would have used this for chess purposes, because each book is named the pawn, the rook, the bishop, etc. Just a side note. Okay, the 12 seed, James Madison Dukes. Had to choose a president book, so we have 5 Presidents by Clint Hill. 4 seed, the Duke Blue Devils. I chose The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And the reason I chose this one is that Duke's, one of their main rivals is UNC, North Carolina, and the book I chose for North Carolina is Where the Crawdads Sing. Well, Where the Crawdads Sing was nominated in the 2018 Goodreads Choice Awards for Best Historical Fiction, but they did not win. They lost to this book, The Great Alone. So this is that book's rival, which I thought was fitting for Duke. So that's why we have this one. 13, Vermont Catamounts. I chose a book also set in Vermont, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I have not read this one. 6, Texas Tech Red Raiders. I chose The Wager because shipwreck, mutiny, and murder. I just felt like that had to do with pirates, maybe. I haven't actually read it. It's on my to-read list. But I think it fits. I'm going to go with it. 11, NC State Wolfpack. I chose Book Lovers by Emily Henry because it is set in North Carolina. 3, Kentucky Wildcats. I chose 3 by Ted Dekker. This is one of those where it was just because it's 3, and that's a really good book. 14, Oakland Golden Grizzlies. I chose The Boy from the Woods by Harlan Coben because oak, trees, forest, and grizzly bears live in the woods. So that's where we have that. 7, The Florida Gators. I chose The Paris Daughter by Kristen Harmel because she's an alum from Florida. 10, we have a play-in game, Boise State Broncos versus the Colorado Buffalo. So for Boise State, I chose Boys in the Boat. And Colorado, I just chose 10, the woman in cabin 10 for the 10 seed. Not as exciting. Hopefully this one wins, right? Boys. 2, Marquette Golden Eagles. I chose The Lady's Mine by Francine River because this is set during the gold rush in California, and she's got a mine and she'll be mining for gold. So Golden Eagles. And the 15 seed, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Their mascot's name is Big Red. So I chose Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Also haven't read this one, but I got it for Christmas, so I do plan to. And that is our South bracket here. Got all of those. We're going to move down to this portion. Our 1 seed down there is the Purdue Boilermakers. This one probably took me the longest, but then I found out the coach's name is Matt Painter. So I chose Rembrandt is in the Wind, which is about painters and art, and it's a really good book by Russ Ramsey. 16 seeds, the play-in game, Montana Bobcats versus Grambling Tigers. So why did I choose that one? The author of this book grew up in Montana. And this book, so Grambling, the university, the enrollment is 91% Black. So I wanted to choose an author or a book by a Black author. So I chose Talking About Race by Isaac Adams. 8, Utah State Big Blue. I chose The Mountain Between Us by Charles Martin. The characters in this book leave Salt Lake City and they get stranded in the Utah woods. 9, TCU Horned Frogs. I chose 10 Words to Live By Jen Wilkin. So Jen Wilkin lives in Dallas and TCU is in Fort Worth. So they're very close. Plus, this book mentions the plagues in Exodus, and one of those plagues was frogs. 5, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Then she was Gonzaga. Kind of close. My alarm went off. Okay, we're gonna try to wrap this up. I also haven't read this book, so I don't know if it's any good. 12, the McNeese Cowboys. Their stadium has the nickname The Hole. I don't know why, but then I chose the book The Hole in Our Holiness by Kevin DeYoung. 4, the Kansas Jayhawks. Their coach is Bill Self. So I chose The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self. And I bet Bill would like some rising and triumphing, so we'll see. 13, the Samford Bulldogs. See, Bulldogs again. Chose Woman on the Edge by Samantha Bailey because Sams. 6, South Carolina Gamecocks. I chose The Wishing Game. This is on my to-read list. 11 seed Oregon Ducks. I chose The Clinic by Kate Quinn because it's set in Oregon. 3, the Creighton Blue Jays. Their mascot's name is Billy Blue Jay, and so I chose a book that has a main character named Billy, Daisy Jones and the Six. I have not read that. Would have worked better if it was a 6 seed, but we got 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. There you go. 14, the Akron Zips. Their mascot is Zippy the kangaroo. So then obviously I had to pick a book set in Australia. So I chose The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. 7, the Texas Longhorns. I chose The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. In the book, they do go to, excuse me, Austin, where the Texas Longhorns stadium is. I believe they go in the stadium too, so connection there. 10, playing game, Virginia Cavaliers versus Colorado State Rams. We've got Simply Lies, which is set in Virginia. And the Colorado State Rams, their mascot is called Cam the Ram, and the main character in the heiress is Camden. Cam. We'll call him Cam. 2 seed, Tennessee Volunteers. I chose Broker of Lies by Stephen James because the Volunteers play near Knoxville, and near Knoxville is a big part of the Manhattan Project, which is a big part of this book is the nuclear program and the Manhattan Project and the site. I can't think of what it's called right now, but by Knoxville. 15, St. Peter's Peacocks. We have the lucky one because I think they got into the tournament from a buzzer beater shot to win, and that's what got them their place in the tournament. So we're going with the lucky one. And there we have that finished bracket down there. Moving over to our last section, the West bracket. Our 1 seed is North Carolina Tar Heels. As I said before, I chose Where the Crawdads Sing because it takes place in North Carolina. The 16 seed playing game, Howard Bison versus Wagner Seahawks. Chose Howard. We chose How To for Howard. And then A Forgotten Kill by Isabella Maldonado. This book is about a serial killer in New York who kills in the various boroughs, and Wagner is located in Staten Island. Okay, 8, Mississippi State Bulldogs, surprise, surprise. I chose John Grisham's book, The Firm. John Grisham was an alumni from Mississippi State, and he has a million books, so I looked up his best-selling book, and that is The Firm. 9, Michigan State Spartans. Their coach's name is Tom Izzo, so I chose a Rizzoli and Isles book, Die Again, because I've actually read that one. So we got Izzo connection here. 5, the St. Mary's Gales. Obviously I had to choose Project Hail Mary because it's like Catholic stuff. 12, Grand Canyon University Antelopes. I chose Leave Only Footprints by Connor Knighton because this book talks about all our national parks, and we all know that Grand Canyon is a national park. 4, Alabama Crimson Tide. I chose Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. The book doesn't really give you a great picture of Alabama, to be honest, but it takes place there, so we're going to count it. 13, Charleston Cougars. So I chose a book by Charles Finch called The Unextravagant Death. The 6th seed is the Clemson Tigers, and I just chose this one because their color is orange and the book is orange. So that's probably my least favorite connection, but sometimes we do what we have to do. 11, the New Mexico Lobos. I chose Station 11 for the seed by Emily St. John Mandel. 3, we have the Baylor Bears, so I chose Mama Bear Apologetics. 14, we have Colgate Raiders, so I chose the other toothpaste brand, Cress. 7, Dayton Flyers. They are, that location, I don't know if it's the college, but they're known for where powered flight was invented. So I chose The Invention of Wings by Sue Monkkidd. 10, Nevada Wolf Pack. I chose The Warden and the Wolf King by Andrew Peterson. This is part of a series, and it's the 4th book. I do recommend the series, but I would recommend starting at the beginning and then getting to the Wolf Pack. 2, we have Arizona Wildcats. Their best player is Caleb Love, and so I had to choose Love theoretically. And the 15 seed, Long Beach State Sharks. I chose Fortitude because Long Beach fired their coach mid-season, and so they've had to be resilient to push through that and get to the tournament. We'll see if that will help them beat Caleb Love, but they'll show some fortitude. And there's that finished. So altogether, we have our book bracket for March Madness, and I would love if you filled it out. You don't have to submit it to my contest. You could start your own league with your family and friends. Share this with whoever you want. Someone's got to use it, because I spent all this time thinking about pointless things to choose books, and it doesn't even matter. But someone's got to enjoy it. So we'll see as the teams win which books progress, and see which books get to the end. So thanks for taking the time to see my odd sense of creativity and inspiration.